Let's make the traditional Cantonese ginger milk custard today. If you don't know what it is, it's a Chinese kind of cheese and it's magic. This recipe is developed after 20 tests and 30 bowls over 16 days by looking at different types of milk, ginger, and temperatures, either concluded by science literature or kitchen myths. These are the tools and gadgets I use for my tests. I know myths are out there to just eyeball everything, but if you want to make a consistently better custard, watch this video. Ginger milk custard uses 3 ingredients only: milk, sugar, and ginger. Let's talk about ginger first. There are 2 types tested in the experiments. Most of you are familiar with this kind of ginger, which is commonly used in households and usually called old ginger. Then there's this kind called little yellow ginger. Chemically, they both work very well for this custard, but I've learned to use them differently. The classical ginger is cost-effective, easy to buy, and easy to process. However, it tends to give the custard obvious bitterness after several hours. Little yellow ginger tastes stronger in its gingery flavor, and what I appreciate most is that it doesn't develop a bitter taste for the custard if you chill it in the refrigerator, even for a few days. So if you prefer to eat the custard warm and immediately, use whichever type. But if you prefer to eat it chilled, use this one. Little yellow ginger is petite in shape and tends to hide dirt in the skin, so I always peel the skin before grating it. And let me say, grating the ginger is probably the most annoying part in making this dessert. For 25 grams ginger juice, you need 48 to 58 grams of skin-on ginger, depending on how mature the ginger is. After that, spoon the grated ginger into a filter bag and set aside. Next, weigh 250 grams of fresh milk. I use Yoplait 5.0 as it has proved to be my go-to milk for this custard. I'll explain later. For now, let's stick to the recipe. Lastly, 12.5 grams of granular white sugar. Here's a trick. First measure 1 tablespoon, then take a heaping quarter teaspoon out of it. That'll give you the amount of sugar at a ballpark. From there, you may adjust the sugar level to your liking. Over the stove, add the sugar to the milk. Stir to dissolve the sugar, then turn the heat on low to heat the milk. At the same time, boil pot of water, then pour the boiling water into the custard bowl and start counting 15 seconds. Drain, and then use a paper towel to dry the bowl immediately. This will give you a temperature close to 60 degrees Celsius, which is the most effective temperature for zhangjibein, or ginger protease, an enzyme that is responsible for proteolysis and thus coagulation of milk. But this method only works if your average kitchen temperature is as high as mine. If not, try this method instead. Heat a pot of water to 70 degrees Celsius. Add some to a big heat-containing bowl. Set a custard bowl in it and fill it with some water. Wait about 1 minute, then drain and dry it with a paper towel. The maximum temperature is also close to 60 degrees Celsius. Then immediately squeeze 25 grams of ginger juice into the bowl. Around the same time, the temperature of the milk would just reach 70 degrees Celsius. Take it off the heat, quickly stir ginger juice, then carefully pour the milk into it. From close to gradually far, from 15 centimeters or 6 inches high. And that's it. Leave it where it is for 10 to 20 minutes. This is after 18 minutes. If you jiggle it, it feels like jelly and can tell it's nothing. But I'll do the spoon test anyway, just to complete the ritual. If the spoon stays firmly on the top, it indicates a success, but this is not the key indicator. The key is to dive into custard to see the texture, especially if you scoop out the center and it stays at the end. That to me is a thick, beautiful, and successful custard. So let's talk about milk. UTH milk of all the brands tested, and no matter how high the protein and calcium levels are, it just doesn't work. They all produce the soupy or quite thin custards. I even tried compensating to steam some bowls for 15 minutes. They can tolerate a spoon, but only get slightly better in texture and are far from what I call a custard. Rather, I'd call them a drink. Fresh milk, on the other hand, is not all born equal. Protein and calcium levels have proved to be the 2 factors that impact milk protein coagulation, or MPC, according to scientific research. In my test, I've just testified that. These 2 are recommended. Both have their merits, but if you want your custard to next level and cost is not concerned, use Yoplait 5.0. You'll feel a clear difference in both texture and taste. So why 70 degrees Celsius? Research results have different conclusions on the best MPC temperature. Some say 63 degrees and some 70. Also, kitchen myths have that just to heat a milk to boil, or between 70 to 80 degrees Celsius. Throughout my tests, I've tested 7 single temperatures ranging from 60 to 80 degrees Celsius plus a few heating and cooling temperatures, but I eventually did the side-by-side comparison. When warm, they all look and taste very similar. But interestingly, when chilled, it sets off the difference. The 70-degree milk has the best balance at its thick texture, creamy taste, and mouthfeel. But I must point out, this 80 degrees Celsius is intriguing as it feels even firmer, even though I didn't heat a bowl, but the taste is less creamy. Zinjibing has a shelf life of 20 minutes at 30 degrees Celsius, but my test says it's not true as it worked well after 1 hour in my kitchen. By the way, this is also why you need to stir juice before using. So how to store extra ginger juice? Just squeeze some fresh lemon juice in it, about 1.3 grams per 25 grams of ginger juice. Seal the container and store in a refrigerator. This juice is 3 days old, and it coagulates the milk well. For the juiced ginger, just don't throw it out. Put it in a mug. Add some hot water, steep for several minutes, drain, add some dark brown sugar, and mix to dissolve. And voila, you have brown sugar ginger tea, a comfort tea for periods. I did say ginger milk custard is a Chinese kind of cheese, right? But that's for the next episode. Bye for now.